I've been thinking about how to make a video about counter-enamelling for a little while. I've done an experiment where I take two pieces of copper, and on one I add up layers of enamel just on one side, and on the other piece of copper I add layers of enamel on both sides, but I fire them alternately. And I filmed that and I'll show it to you and you can see what happens. Bear with me as I try and explain some thoughts about why we counter-enamel. Things flex or bend when put under tension. Pliable metal bends and brittle metal snaps. Trees ping back or they break. A new idea may be fully rejected or might blow your mind. Enamel pings or holds after firing. Over time or in different conditions, change can embed or stabilise. Annealed metal spreads out the molecules which were deformed. A bent tree's internal structure changes. There is compression on the inside and stretching on the outside. Ideas begin to make sense, or experiences tend to change you. Times which were hard begin to be memories that you would never give away. Routines begin to be habits you crave and never realize you needed as much as you do. How do you keep faith in this pattern? Because it's not always the case. Some people will sell you snake oil, things which claim to solve all your problems, but they don't. You move house and jobs only to find your emotional responses to life remain the same, and you begin to repeat the same behaviours. There seems to be something different about creativity and other positive actions you choose. If you don't counter-enamel metal, it will warp and bend, and as it cools, it will try and return to its original shape. This may cause the enamel to crack or pop off. You might fight this for as long as you like, and you may get some interesting results, but it will always be a matter of being out of balance. So here's the experiment. I hope you enjoy it. So I'm preparing two small rectangular pieces of copper for this experiment. Here I'm annealing them. This is to soften the metal. It's been in the pickle to clean any grease or dirt off. So I'm just wiping the water off and any residue. And this is a mallet and a steel plate to flatten the pieces, taking off any sharp edges. So this is the first firing of the piece where I'm just going to fire one side or add enamel to one side. So I'm sifting powdered enamel on, nice thick layer, lifting it onto the trivet. For this I'm using a torch to do the firing. I normally use a kiln because it gives a slightly better finish, but in this instance this experiment doesn't require a perfect finish. So just slowly heating it up. You can see the enamel powder melting there as the whole thing heats up, getting up to about 800 degrees centigrade. I'm using transparent enamel for this experiment because I have lots of it. So you can see it cooling. Look at that lovely glassy finish. And that's that. Can you see the bend there? So just with one layer, it's pulled the copper as it's cooled. It's pulled it across and created a bend, but it's not popped off. This is how you start all enamel pieces. You just fire one side. Now we're going to add a second layer to the same side, leaving the other side unenameled. See, it's bent, and there, can you see a crack there? That's because it wasn't counter enamelled. So now there's a third layer going on. This time they are fully fired, still quite flat, very hot at this point still. Leaving it to cool, and there you go, it's cracked. But after a while of it cooling on the grey wool there, it didn't go on the steel, it just cooled naturally, and it's completely, look, those two bits have popped off with very little pressure from me. So that's kind of glass, that's what enamel looks like when it's not attached. And that's happened because the tension was just too great with the piles of enamel on one side only. Here we go, so we're going to do the second piece now. So like with the first one, with the first firing, we fire just one side. Exactly the same. Lovely and glassy. Now, with the second firing, there's the first side, and this time we're going to turn it over and fire the second side. Adding the enamel, I haven't even cleaned it up properly. There we go, look, I'm popping it onto the steel plate after it's barely cooled down, so I'm really testing it with that heat sink, taking all the heat out straight away. No cracks whatsoever. And it feels different, it feels solid, still straight. There's no bends in it. So we're going to do a second layer on the first side. There we go again, putting it straight onto the heatsink. So despite one side having two layers and one side having one layer, it didn't crack. It still feels solid. And I think that's the difference between balance and counterbalance. With enamelling, you don't always have the same number of layers on both sides. Your counter enamel may be thinner than your main design, but the counter enamel keeps it stabilised, stops it from warping. So there, it's still hot when I popped it on there. You can see I'm just touching it gently with my fingers so I don't burn myself, but it feels solid. I know it's not a pretty piece here to look at, but it gives you a good example. I just did it quickly. So there you go. On the left you've got a piece that was enamelled on both sides, and on the right you have a piece that was only enamelled on one, and you can see what happens. The piece that was enamelled on only one side is warped. And the piece that was enamelled on both sides is dead straight. It feels solid. You can sort of tap it on steel there, and it just feels nice and hard. If you think about it, you can buy enamel plates, can't you, and cups. It's basically the same stuff. It's pretty tough, really, as long as it's stabilised. And as a bit of a bonus, I've recorded a walkthrough of my new website. Perhaps you'd like to have a look at it for yourself. You'll find it at edappleton.com.
So here is my homepage. You can see my logo at the top. I've got some basic links across the top here. Takes you to my homepage, takes you to the shop, my about page, and the contact form. So on the front there's just a little introduction, some recommended products which takes you through to the shop, and then links to my Instagram and YouTube pages, and there's some more links at the bottom. Let's have a quick look at the about page. Another little bit of an introduction, detailing the kind of things I make, explaining that I do commissions, how important sustainability is to me, and I've made these little drop downs to take you through the cloisonné making process with some images. Champleve, never did know how to pronounce that word. Perhaps you can help me in the comments by explaining. And then finally, a bit of information about sifting. Here's my values. Nice picture of my wife's tile there. And then let's pop over to the shop where the items are split into categories. So for example, if you want to see the paint tin, lots of pictures to look at. So it's been good fun putting this together. And more detail down at the bottom. So this website was made on WordPress. I made my last website in, I don't know, 2010 or something, and my goodness me, things have moved on since then. It's so much easier to use the kind of free tools than it was. Put some videos in to show you how the vessels look around the sides. Just kind of animations of photos. And then there's the contact page with a simple form which you can contact me on. So I suppose the request is to have a play about. Would you follow the link in the description? Have a click around, see what you think. All comments are very gratefully received.
Thanks for watching this video. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.